This meeting is being recorded.
Oh, there you
go. I had awakened the love I came here to be and increase the joy of the Holy Trinity. And so with that, I was reflecting because I did a speech in a competition last night for the local group and I came second. But I shared a story on our family game of life for 224 with Ian's cancer journey and now that he's free. And basically, they all gave me a sitting ovation, as in everyone in that room, even people that didn't know me that were judging from another group, they all clapped. And no one else got an ovation of clapping because you're meant to just be silent after and then they take. And so it was very emotional. And
good for you.
Yeah. And I came second, which was a miracle. And I came second in the evaluation competition as well for someone else, which I couldn't believe it. And so, yeah. And that was just for sharing the story. So with that, it was like I trusted the Holy Trinity. And just before I started speaking, I just said trust. And I went in and just spoke without reading anything, just spoke on the topic. And so the joy came in and it awakened love. So that was my experience. And I've had it all week.
Nice.
Good for you, Callie. Bea, why don't you go?
Me?
Yeah.
So mine was, what am I creating in this moment and what is God's will for me here? And it is just a great question to be asking myself whenever I'm going to start anything or pick up the phone or write an email or meet someone. It's just a great question. And it's working quite well. My challenges have been a friend here that I help with. We do stuff together. We're on the Chamber of Commerce together, and she's agreed to be secretary, even though she doesn't really want the job. But because I'll help her, she's okay with that. And there's been some emails coming through which have been a bit nasty, and she takes it all personally. She's very sensitive, so my challenge is to help her get through those kind of things and to support her. So, and I'm enjoying it. I'm actually feeling a value. I'm providing value, and I think she's getting some insights as well. So
awesome. Yeah. Chambers of Commerce can be a bit dodgy.
Yes, even in little country towns.
Especially in little country towns. Jane, would you like to go?
Too well.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I missed last week. I think the universe thought I needed to have a norovirus, which is an intestinal virus, for many days. It's like, I didn't know what I needed to purge, but that I did. And I'm so happy to be back here. But I'm so mindful of my walk. And the other thing is that I'm also very mindful of something I want to put out there to the group, because my kindness, my easygoing, kind manner gets in the way of me being decisive, or people taking me as being decisive. You know, kindness can be seen as a weakness. And so that has been my struggle in the last month. Oh, thank you, Callie. And it's just interesting. It's like, well, I don't believe for a second that I'm supposed to, flex my muscles and come in, with the boxing gloves on. So, but I'm being told by quite a few people that you are you're too kind to people who are adversarial. I'm like, I don't feel like I have anything to lose, and I don't feel like I have lost. So, what do you make of that?
It depends on how you feel afterwards, Jane. I mean, do you feel empowered or do you feel disempowered? Do you feel you've not created strong enough boundaries to stop someone overextending? What do you feel?
Yeah, I just always thought that love wins out.
Ultimately, it does.
Genuine love wins the day. And I'm seeing that it's like, oh, I see. You just respond to strong arming. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you. I know because I like being who I am. I like a gentler, more accepting. But you're right. I mean, there is such a thing as creating boundaries. But even when I have, it's not received. Again, I think it just gets back to love also has value boundaries. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right, Callie.
Remember when I told that story of that old person on the train that was speaking about the Bible and Jesus, and the Latin guy got up and slapped him across the face and threw his stuff all down on the ground. He didn't return love, but he did. But what he did instead, he stepped into the model of the world of that man and said, "What has happened to you that has caused your heart to be so broken? What has happened to you that has caused you to be so upset with God?" And then because then it starts shifting his mind away from this man and thinking that this man is this horrible perpetrator of lies. And he began to self-reflect. That wasn't an attack and it wasn't a soft boundary. It was actually an extension of great kindness, but strategic kindness.
Strategic.
Like, what is it in you? Obviously, you could say to this guy, obviously you realize that you come across mismatched in energy, mismatched in your approach to solving problems to everybody else in this room. What is your positive intention for treating people like this and for acting the way you're acting right now? What are you trying to achieve? And, is there anything we can do to help you achieve that within reason and within the boundaries of the agreements of all of us?
Right.
And then
Yeah,
if it goes
yeah, I
on,
like that.
you could say to him, what happened to you in your youth that makes you think that bullying your way through a conversation actually is the best way to get results? Because it's actually not. It's always about collaboration. And I think if you just stated the truth very calmly and let love guide you in order to help him break that pattern or at least see the pattern more succinctly, you actually may make movement with him.
Right. No, I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I knew I should speak up. Thank you.
You're welcome. I did miserably on my exercise. I hardly looked at it all week. What I've decided I've done to myself is I have overextended myself into work and focused all my time, and my life's out of balance right now. So we're getting ready to launch ads on Facebook, and I've been recording, all these. I think I recorded 42 Facebook posts and TikTok videos and all of that over the weekend. I'm like, dude, you really have to just take a break because you haven't had one. So yeah, I've been off balance. So mine was be the extension of unconditional love for whoever I meet. And I think I do that with my clients, but not so much with strangers. You know, I wasn't
And
good at it.
Gary, do you do it to you?
Probably not. Probably not. I ride myself pretty hard. Um, I'm very goal oriented and very what's the word? I think as I get older, I'm getting even a heavier foot on the gas pedal because I'm realizing there's not a lot of years in front of me, a lot of years behind me, and I only have so much time to accomplish what I want to accomplish. So I feel very um, driven to get it done. So, but you're right, V. You know, I'm not extending that to myself very much, but I do meditate every morning, and that is an extension of love to myself. Let's read.
Oh, Joe,
Oh,
do
Joey.
you share or you just want to listen?
Yeah, I can share. I'm just starting to giggle a little. I thought I was hiding in the background.
Oh no.
Last week, I wrote, to know creator is to know yourself. And I didn't really dig too deep into knowing creator more, but I can say that I did more acts of kindness to myself, more self-love, self-appreciation, and really just giving myself time to rest, reflect, and to be a better me. And maybe that newfound back pain I'm feeling is telling me to take more time to rest and continue doing this.
Beautiful. Yes. Linda, you're just in time to share how you went with your lesson.
What was my lesson?
I don't know.
Only you will know, Linda.
I am the treasure of God, and therefore I am valuable.
Mm.
And yes, that actually has come back. I'm getting some really nice feedback, comments from people without it actually tickling my ego, which is really nice. Just taking it is what it is. Saying thank you
Mm-hmm.
rather
Oh,
than,
good.
oh, no. So yeah, just taking it for what it is. How is everyone? Good?
We're
Yeah.
good.
Sorry, I'm a bit.
Yeah. Good to see you,
Joey's
Linda.
backed out, but other than that, he's great.
Oh, no, Joe. That's not good.
Okay, let's start reading. For half an hour, we were so busy talking. Oh well. Number 9. Gary, you going to start us up?
Sure. I share with God the knowledge of the value he puts upon me. My devotion to you is of him. Being born of my knowledge of myself and him, we cannot be separated. Whom God has joined cannot be separated, and God has joined all his sons with himself. Can you be separated from your life and your being? The journey to God is merely the reawakening of the knowledge of where you are always and what you are forever. It is a journey without distance, is a goal that has never changed. Truth can only be experienced. It cannot be described, and it cannot be explained. I can make you aware of the conditions of truth, but the experience is of God. Together we can meet its conditions, but truth will dawn upon you of itself. Oof.
That's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh my God, that's beautiful. Wow. It's beautiful.
Gary, you misread one sentence there though, and I thought it was very interesting because you put a full stop in where there isn't one. And it says
Oh.
it is a journey without the distance to a goal that has never changed. And
No,
I
it
think you
did.
said it is a journey without distance to a goal that has never changed. And I kind of feel like it's saying there is no goal.
It is.
And then we were talking about you being goal orientated.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. It's life is that sentence
Yep.
because I really do believe we're with God in this very moment. At the highest level of consciousness, we are with that light in ecstatic love. But because we believe we're our bodies, we're here. Our consciousness, our focus is here. But in the ultimate scheme of things, we are not here. I love this last line when it says, but truth will dawn upon you of itself. And sometimes I think all we have to do is really long for the Lord. And then eventually that longing is answered. I don't think we can really do anything because I think whatever awakenings any of us get is a gift and it's pure grace. Well, for me, I'll just speak for me unto myself. I cannot reach God unless that grace is given to me. I know it's grace. Whatever has happened to me is grace. It's nothing I have done. So truth will dawn upon you of itself. This is a beautiful paragraph.
Mhm.
So we don't have to be anything or do anything. We are just love. And we if we're just open to receive and be that, well, it's not even being, it's just receiving it.
So we are
I
human beings rather than human doings, which is what we actually do while we're here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think the only thing we do have to do is what the Course says repeatedly through the entire, every chapter is about this, that we see through the eyes of the Holy Spirit at one another and creation and feel that love and then long to go home. Those two things, I think, are our jobs, to choose to always be longing for the Lord rather than longing for possessions or someone else.
Nice. The journey to God is merely the reawakening of the knowledge of where you are always and what you are forever.
Yeah.
It's just about being present.
It's sort of like my one this week where I had the Holy Trinity is with me as I play full out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
Sort of can't be explained because it's an inner essence of knowing that I'm 100% with God. And its expression out of me is a joyful, shining sort of beacon that other people then receive the benevolence of that organically. But I haven't shared it. God did through the witnessing from
And I
another.
think when we're doing that, other people may actually not realize what's going on, but they'll go away with the feeling that it's going to be more like love than what it was before. And
Yeah.
that's what we do.
And it's not I'm attached to creating that for them. It's organic because God gave it to them through me being aligned with God.
Nice. Are we happy with that one?
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Nice. Jane, do you want to read number 10?
Sure. What
Thank
God has willed for you is yours. He has given his will to his treasure, whose treasure it is. Your heart lies where your treasure is, as his does. You who are beloved of God are wholly blessed. Learn this of me and free the holy will of all those who are blessed as you are, or who are as blessed as you are. Free the holy will of all those who are as blessed as you are.
Nice.
And we are blessed, absolutely blessed.
Mm-hmm.
I love this whole section here. This is the treasure of God, and it's just a whole other definition, a whole other imagery of treasure now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I'm going to move the page up a little bit. So there we go. Are we happy with that one? Shall we
Yeah.
go?
Yes,
It's very
indeed.
interesting. The next chapter goes into the body as a means of communication, which
Yes.
dives us right back down into the body. It's really interesting.
This will be just what Joe needs. Let's
Yes.
see. Who wants to read section 1? Shall I read, or anyone else want to
Go
read
for
it?
it, B.
Attack is always physical. When attack in any form enters your mind, you are equating yourself with a body, since this is the ego's interpretation of the body. You do not have to attack physically to accept this interpretation. You are accepting it simply by the belief that attack can get you something you want. If you did not believe this, the idea of attack would have no appeal for you. When you equate yourself with a body, you will always experience depression. When a child of God thinks of himself in this way, he is belittling himself and seeing his brothers as similarly belittled. Since he can find himself only in them, he has cut himself off from salvation.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
I love that because it's accepting the body as God's vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
One line at the top, it says, when attack in any form enters your mind, you are equating yourself with a body, since this is the ego's interpretation of the body. So that's so clear. Like if we have an attacking
Mm-hmm.
thought on anything, we are
Mm-hmm.
literally separating ourselves at that moment and identifying only as a body.
And to really get that we cut ourselves off from salvation. It seems to me that if you want to know if you're in this beautiful, loving zone, you can ask yourself, how free do I feel right now?
Mm.
Do I feel like I'm headed for salvation?
Mm.
Am I in salvation?
Yeah, and if we ever doubt if we are connecting with God, that's what the body's for. It's actually telling us, maybe you're not.
Mhm.
If you're feeling, because the body's a messenger. I've always said that, and that's what this is saying. The body is a messenger.
Right. Hmm.
So when we reach for that anti-inflammatory, we're just shutting down the messenger.
Right. Right.
I love that, B. When we reach for the medication, we're shutting down the messenger.
Yeah, I like that.
And that, like the previous paragraph, it was the heart is the will of God. And if I'm in my mind, I'm in my separate thought that my body doesn't have power. But if in my heart, I'm the will of God and God's the power
Hmm.
for my vehicle to understand itself and what its next step is. Take the walk.
And it connects the messenger so clearly there. Attack is always physical. When attack in any form enters your mind, so even though you're only thinking it, your body's still feeling it.
Hmm. And I think so often the message is that you're not enough. And it's not the truth.
Mhm.
Mm. Do we have any more questions about that one?
Mm-mm.
No, I'm just remembering childhood times when I thought that attack could get me what I wanted, and it actually did physically, but how often do kids do that? They have their little tantrums and
Mhm.
to get what they want. Hmm. Who wants to read number 2?
I will. That's okay.
Yeah, please.
Remember that the Holy Spirit interprets the body only as a means of communication. Being the communication link between God and his separated sons, the Holy Spirit interprets everything you have made in the light of what he is. The ego separates through the body. The Holy Spirit reaches through it to others. You do not perceive your brothers as the Holy Spirit does, because you do not regard bodies solely as a means of joining minds and uniting them with yours and mine. This interpretation of the body will change your mind entirely about its value, or itself, it has none. Oh, sorry, of itself, it has none.
Hmm.
I think if we really thought about the first 2 lines, it is such a beautiful reframe of the physical form. Remember that the Holy Spirit interprets the body only as a means of communication, being the communication link between God and his separated sons. So actually, our bodies are just about communicating the link between God and every other individual. So next time we think that our butts are too big, we're too flabby, we're too old, whatever the thoughts are.
You're reading my mind, Gary. Come
I know
on.
we can just save ourselves and just go, I'm just a communication link. This is just a communication link. Yeah. That would be the new interpretation of my body.
So where it says, you do not perceive your brothers as the Holy Spirit does, because you do not regard bodies solely as a means of joining minds and uniting them with yours and mine. Is that, in a word, judging?
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, definitely.
I kind of don't read it that way.
No?
If I got what you said right, I said you do not perceive your brothers as the Holy Spirit does, because you do not regard bodies solely as a means of joining minds and uniting them with yours and mine. Because if we did see through the eyes of the Holy Spirit, and we did see our brothers and sisters through that perspective, the course would be irrelevant. We will have arrived. So because we're reading it and we're studying it, that would only presuppose that we have not gotten to that place in our development where um, our minds are united with Christ and with each other. So I don't see it as a judgment. I kind of interpret it as it's just calling reality what it is. It's like this is what we're all doing. But that's just my read on it.
So maybe going back to the previous section where it says truth can only be experienced.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love that, Gary, because it's like if I discern what my guidance is and follow that, and it might look like there's a conflict happening, but at the end of the day, there's this awakening for both people. And so it actually had a positive or a expansive outcome where joy and light became the end result of the wound. And so it depends how you want to interpret it. So in my mind, if I'm interpreting it with the intention that the Holy Trinity is love and joyous, there is no attack. It's expansive and opens me to the experience of that with the next person I communicate with. And so it's a continuous flow of appreciation of what the Holy Trinity is through communion. But if I see the Holy Trinity in a fear-based way, it can't expand because I'm blocking it in my mind and body from the experience that the benevolence of the divine brings, which is a joyful impact for all that are in communion with me.
The next paragraph's really good.
All right, shall we move on? I'm just moving up a bit. Did you want to read that, Gary, then?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
If you use the body for attack, it is harmful to you. If you use it only to reach the minds of those who believe they are bodies and teach them through the body that is not so, you will understand the power of the mind that is in you. If you use the body for this and only this, you cannot use it for attack. In the service of uniting, it becomes a beautiful lesson in communion, which has value until communion is. This is God's way of making unlimited what you have limited. The Holy Spirit does not see the body as you do, because he knows the only reality of anything is the service it renders God on behalf of the function he gives it.
I love that. So, depending on the service I give it under the commandment of the Holy Trinity or Holy Spirit, I could be negative in my mind and be creating more of that by my separation, or I could be in service to the joyful impact for myself and all, or peace on earth internally. And then that's a intention God can then amplify for this service for all.
Yep.
It's interesting. It's kind of given me a different perspective because with this, if you use it only to reach the minds of those who believe they are bodies and teach them through the body that this is not so. So it's not talking to the others' spirituality or beliefs. It's actually talking them through their means of communication, which is their body. I'm still trying to get this around in my head by talking it through, but I'm a bit confused with that.
Read it again, please.
If you use it only to reach the mind, if you use the body for attack, it is harmful to you. If you use it only to reach the minds of those who believe they are bodies and teach them through the body that this is not so, you will understand the power of the mind that is in you.
Is that the line that's confusing to you?
Yeah, so that if you use it only to reach the minds of those who believe they are bodies. So for me, it's like when you're trying to communicate with people who don't have a spiritual belief or don't believe in God, or then just not in the space, they're not on this, you're just not talking from the same perspective. So in a way to reach them, you do have to talk through the body.
I think, well, how I'm reading it is teach them through your body that this is not so, and you'll understand the power of the mind that is in you. So this is just inviting us to teach people that believe they're the bodies through our body and interaction with them that we're not the body, just the body, that we're something higher and we're something more than just the body. I think that's what it's saying to me. Yeah, and Joe says teach by example is very true.
Yeah, that's how I understand it too. Teach by example. Like when I show up and I trust the Holy Trinity when I'm about to speak, all of the people in the room last night had tears in their eyes and I'm speaking and I noticed that, but I just kept going because I'm in service to my soul, speaking from the trusting of the Holy Trinity. And then it's my soul, God, will, is doing the rest. And if no one in the room was meant to listen, then so be it, because it was what I needed to speak for my soul. And everyone in the room listened, so be it. Like it's got no business of mine personally. I'm just being a channel for what my soul needed to say. And the rest, the service is what God does with that in other people, in their experience of it. Like I might be amplifying it by speaking it and it's a vibration going out, but I don't know how people are going to receive it because it's none of my business how they receive it. But it was amplified by God and people were crying.
That's beautiful, Carly. But I'm just thinking of times when I was trying to reach my mum and trying to speak to her, and she wasn't listening because she wasn't at that level. She wasn't ready to hear it, and I wasn't delivering it in the way that it was being heard. So for me, this is talking about you do actually have to acknowledge who you're talking to and look at their bodies, listen to their bodies and see where they're coming from. It's different when you're up in front of a bunch of people. Then you have no, well, you still can build rapport with your audience. Yeah, I think there has to be some acknowledgement of the other person and where they're coming from. That's my experience.
Well, I agree too, because not everybody's capable of well, it depends on how we teach, you know. I think that if we would, it depends on what we say, and it really depends on what's coming out of our mouths. There's ways to introduce people to the concept that they're not their bodies in a very gentle, honorable way, according to where they're at in the moment. So yeah, I think however each of us individually would teach that would be based upon the time, the circumstances, and the willingness of a person to be able to hear it. And always shape our communication into the model of the world of the person we're communicating to, so it lands. And if we're able to do that, then we can teach this in most circumstances. And there'll be those circumstances, of course, where you can't. But yeah, I think it's possible. I think we may be more clever than we think we are, even when they're really hard circumstances.
And I guess also from my example, when remembering dealing with my mum, I wasn't coming from love. I was coming from a point of control, wanting her to not be sick or injured or in pain. So I had an agenda, I guess. When I dropped that, she listened.
It was all out of love, though. All out of love.
Yeah, but the message was not being heard because I had an agenda. It was love, but I had an agenda.
Yeah. So
My source, it was coming from a personal need.
yeah, and I love that, V, because like Linda's saying, you still were coming from love, but it had a bit of a need to resolve it or have her resolve it and get her to understand it. So there was a need for her to take this, an attachment, and then and so it really is an internal job for me, because when no matter who's in front of me, if I'm in my heart and the will of God, I can like Gary knew how to approach the person using his telepathy, his inner knowing. When he has a client, he knows what kind of words to speak because he's engaged in his inner higher sense and self, because he's not attached to the client getting it perfect or getting a he's there to find out what they want first, and he's unattached. So he hears his guidance and then really trusts that in the moment and stays present to that. And then he's able to organically communicate what the client needs in the language they need, because he's so internal. And so when we've got such close family members, of course, we want a change for them, and how easy it is to go to the front of the body and mind unconsciously and try and resolve it and help. And so, it's sort of like what Jane was sharing earlier with her situation, and Gary was trying to see where you were in the scenario. Like, were you coming from that need to help, or were you coming from pure love's potential where you're listening and just taking your senses and feeling what and seeing what they're showing you? So anyway.
Right. No, exactly.
Love it. Thank you. I'm glad that that's really helped me. Thank you. I'm going to shut the screen down, the share down, because it's 2 minutes to the hour. So let's share our lessons.
Go with mine. Be in the present. Truth can only be experienced.
I'll go ahead.
Yep.
I picked two. Life is a journey without distance to a goal that is never changed. Truth will dawn upon me of itself. And then my next one, to hurry that along is if you use your body for attack, it is harmful for you.
Hmm.
Mine
Yeah.
was something-
Oh, go ahead.
You go, Jane.
Mine is I am a link between God and others. I am unlimited, and so are you.
Beautiful.
Feeling the
Mine
power.
Share love without attachment to the outcome. Love is my treasure.
Mm.
It's beautiful.
Carly?
I love yours, Fee. Mine is the Holy Spirit communicates with my body, and truth can only be experienced.
I like it.
Joe, have you got a lesson?
Kind of looked ahead just a little itty bitty teeny tiny bit because I really like the first two lines of the next paragraph. Communication and separation, attack promotes it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure does.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. I look forward to hearing about how you go for the next week, and we'll see you in a week's time.
Beautiful.
Love you
Thanks,
all.
everyone. Make it a
night,
great
everybody.
one.
Hope you feel better, Joey.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you,
Joe.
Gary. I'll probably
Bye,
reach
Joe.
out for email, Gary.
Okay, buddy.
All right.
See you
Bye,
guys
Bye.
later.